So what's the agenda looks like now? How many
Sure.
people are going to be integral part of the conversation?
So as per the design, sir, what we've planned is that we'll have a handful of young people in the room, and then the others are directed to the stream, YouTube stream, and we'll keep it in the format that we discussed, sir. So we'll start with a little bit of a prelude, introductions. We'll screen the video, the one that was sent to us on WeTransfer, and then we'll introduce you and thereafter sort of start the conversation. In the initial section, we'll request you to share your personal journey a little bit more and reflect on it, and then we'll talk a little bit more in terms of the sphere of work, please.
Sure.
Thank
Sounds
you.
all good. We
Absolutely.
will enlighten the audience, excite them, and whatever we can add value. We should be doing it.
Thank you. Great
Let it
amount
be
of value, sir. Thank you.
informative, exciting, and very conversational.
Absolutely. That's the
Yes.
intention, sir. Thank you so much. I'm delighted to introduce you to a few people we have here with us. We have Priyanka and
Hi, Priyanka.
Priyanka.
Hello, Dr. Seetharaman. Nice to meet you.
Pleasure.
We have Komal.
Hello, sir. Nice
Come
to
on.
meet
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
we have,
Yes. Mitchell, yes.
yes, sir. We have Ayushman.
Ayushman. Hi, Ayush.
Here.
Here.
Ayush-
Here. Sorry, yes, I could see her. Okay.
and we have Ved.
Hello, good morning.
Hi, Ved.
Good gentlemen.
We're delighted, sir. So we're on the stream now, and I'll request Priyanka. Priyanka, did you wish to get us started, and then we'll take it away. Thank you.
I will begin the session on that note. So hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. A warm welcome to day 2 of the 3rd International Conference and Pop Festival for Youth-Led Climate Action 2021. We are delighted to have you all join us for one of the biggest youth-led events for climate action. My name is Priyanka Prakash, and I am from Dubai, but currently in India. And the POP family is very excited to welcome you all to this session of the leadership conversation. With that, I would like to hand it over to Dr. Ash to welcome our esteemed guest.
Thank you so much, Priyanka, for getting us started. I'd like to start by conveying a very warm welcome to Dr. Seetharaman for giving us the pleasure and the privilege of his company and his insight, his inspiration to all of us, and for his time here today. So I'd like to start by saying a very warm welcome, sir. Thank you once again for your inspiration to all of us. And we're so moved and inspired and deeply enlightened by your experience and your voice. So thank you so much for being here and for having for giving us this opportunity. And I'd also like to say a warm welcome to everyone to the 3rd International Conference and Pop Festival for Youth-Led Climate Action 2021. We are delighted to be hosting a pop leadership conversation, a tribute to our chief mentor as part of this year's festival. This project aims to strengthen youth leadership and explore tactics that empower the youth to take action and tackle the most pressing environmental issues faced globally. We are conducting a series of conversations on leadership strategies, recommendations, reflections, and examples, each focused on global leadership and a different pressing environmental issue. This initiative is designed and implemented as a tribute to our chief mentor, late Dr. R. Seetharaman. Today, we have the pleasure and privilege of speaking with Dr. Seetharaman, who is the CEO of Doha Bank, Qatar, about the green economy and banking. But most important of all, I'd like to say that we have the privilege of spending time and listening in on Dr. Seetharaman's reflections in terms of his personal journey and how he has traveled to where he's at, the pinnacle of success and a great inspiration, not just to the world, but also to the 1.8 billion youth who are leading change in terms of taking action to protect our planet. Dr. Seetharaman, a warm welcome. We're absolutely honored and privileged and humbled to be here together with you today. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ash. I would like to begin by giving a brief introduction about Dr. Seetharaman, and it's my absolute honor to be getting the opportunity to read his bio here. Dr. R Seetharaman, Chief Executive Officer of Doha Bank since 2007, is a prominent personality in the banking industry throughout the Middle East, an economic expert who has achieved remarkable success for his contributions to banking, trade, investment, economics, environment, social responsibility, philanthropy, and charity. He's a chartered accountant and holds certificate in IT systems and corporate management, whilst being a gold medalist in his graduation Bachelor of Commerce. He's a recipient of multiple doctorates from leading universities of the world, including 3 PhDs, which include a PhD in Economic Implications of Global Citizenship by Sri Sharda Institute of Indian Management, a PhD in Global Governance by European University, and a PhD in Green Banking and Sustainability from Sri University. In 2017, he was recognized and conferred by the Government of India with the prestigious Pravasi Bharatiya Samman Award, the highest honor conferred on overseas Indians by the Government of India. Dr. R Seetharaman was honored with the Green Economy Visionary Award in 2016 by the Union of Arab Banks for his contribution in promoting green economy. He was also honored with the Global Excellence Award in Renewable Energy 2017 by the Energy and Environment Foundation. He was conferred with the Lifetime Achievement Award by the Banker Middle East to honor his contribution to the industry and his support for the environment and the business. He was also conferred Lifetime Achievement Award from the Institute of Directors at the Global Summit. He has been named Best CEO in the Middle East 6 times in the last 15 years. He's a prominent personality in the banking industry throughout the Middle East, and being a high-profile economist, he's invited on a regular basis by international media such as BBC, CNN, Fox, CNBC, Sky News, ABC, and Bloomberg to share his views. Once again, thank you so much, Dr. Seetharaman, for joining us. With that, I would like to ask Komal to screen the video.
Chief Executive Officer of Doha Bank is a recipient of multiple doctorates from leading universities in the world.
Recognition of your extraordinary leadership and your achievements in global banking, Washington College is pleased to present to Raghavan Seetharaman the honorary degree Doctor of Law.
Including a PhD in Global Governance by European University.
Potential is anonymous enough to recognize this world is fully at large. With a change in digitization, the world is at your fingertip. Information is power. You can change the world. You are the world. You are the future. You are setting the destiny for yourself. There's no question about it. Together, we can create a better world. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
And PhD in Green Banking and Sustainability from Sri University. Recently, he was conferred Honour of Doctoral Fellowship by Sri Sharda Institute of Indian Management for his outstanding contribution to global economics, international banking, and in recognition of his thesis titled Economic Implications of Global Citizenship. In 2017, he was recognised and conferred by the Government of India with the prestigious Pravasi Bharatiya Samman Award, the highest honour conferred on overseas Indians by the Government of India. Dr. R Seetharaman was honoured with the Green Economy Vision Award in 2016 by Union of Arab Banks for his contribution in promoting green economies. He was conferred with the Lifetime Achievement Award by the Banker Middle East to honour his contribution to the industry and his support for the environment and the business. He has also received Lifetime Achievement Award from the Institute of Directors. Being a leading top-tier bank CEO, he has transformed Doha Bank as one of the best-performing banks in the Middle East region. He has been named Best CEO in Middle East 4 times in the last 12 years. He is a chartered accountant and holds certificate in IT systems and corporate management, whilst being a gold medalist in his graduation Bachelor of Commerce. He is a prominent personality in the banking industry throughout the Middle East, and being a high-profile economist, he is invited on a regular basis by international media to share his views.
Thank you so much, sir, for giving us the opportunity to get a glimpse into your incredible journey. And that's exactly what I want to lead to in my very first question for today. So Dr. Seetharaman's journey to leadership is a story of inspiration and passion, a story that we all would surely have a lot to learn from. So I would like to begin by requesting Dr. Seetharaman to give us a glimpse into his personal journey of becoming a preeminent business leader.
Good. Thank you, Priyanka, and the wonderful team led by Dr. Ash. What a joy to be integral part of this interesting legacy which continues from Dr. Pachori. Man of professional excellence, a great human being. My interaction with him was so profound and prolific in terms of substance. I relished every minute I spent with him. Thrice we met in Qatar, otherwise in the United Nations once or twice. What a remarkable human being he was. His determination, his drive, his commitment to society and creating a future generation which is better than the present has been exemplary. And it is my pleasure and privilege to be integral part of his journey, and I submit myself for the years to come his dream of accomplishing in making sure not only we create a better world, better citizenship to this world. That's core. We need to create better citizenship. I think that was his purposeful mission. The future generations should be well off than the current, and that's the goal. All of us are driving, and I'm delighted to be integral part of this interesting journey. Now, the leadership is something which is integrating your heart and mind. Integrating your heart and mind is eternal. That's what I learned. You know, my school says very clearly, Mata, Pita, Guru, Deva. Mata means mother. Then Pita, Guru, that is then teacher. Then eventually the respective religion you belong to. If you're conscious enough, if you're true reflection of your inner self, that's the way forward. And that's what I learned, having come from a challenging circumstances. My father was a Hindi teacher, Sanskrit scholar, and he lost his job in 1969 when I was 10 years old. Essentially, the family was struggling. And one thing, my parents were determined. Education is the best form of wealth they can afford to give to their children. They believed in it. So I recognize it's all about education. What they taught me also, looking inward, integrating yourself. Education gives me the gold medal, which you read now. The integration within myself, looking inward, gave me the golden moments. Education gave me passion to perform. The inward looking attitude, truly reflecting your consciousness, gave me compassion. So the integration of education and internal drive was a culmination. Education fostered appreciation, and the internal drive gave me the introspection. It's all a reflection of the cosmic energy. And you are a subset of the whole frame. If you synchronize your mind, body, and soul, everything is possible. The five powers my father taught me: the land, the wind, the air, fire, water is, we call it as Panchabhutam, five powers, five energy, and that's a reflection of your own internal integration. So you have a synchronized journey reflecting transparency, truth, and trust within yourself. You love everyone. You like everyone. Every day is interesting. Every day is inspirational. Every day is motivational. This is the first lesson I learned from my father. So if you understand, again, the dynamics of this planet, you will realize you are a debtor to this planet. You inherited with all this infrastructure. What are you adding? What are you leaving when you pass out? And that's the big question one has to answer. So the reflection is, if you're true to yourself, if you're conscious in recognizing the reconciliation between heart and mind without any conflict, then you're going to do it. You're going to be purposeful in your living. And that's what younger generations like yours should understand. It's so beautiful. Life is so purposeful, so meaningful. It's a small passage, very short passage. The more you love, you radiate a positivity. The reflection of your positivity is the inner energy which transcends. Whether you run a country or a corporate or a house, that is full of enthusiasm. Inspiration is getting us started. Motivation is keep us going, isn't it? So it's a reflection of your thought again. Everything's a reflection of your thought. What you put in your mind, your thought becomes action. Action becomes habits. Habit becomes character. Character becomes your destiny. That's all you need to understand. You need to sow your right kind of thoughts. The positive thoughts are very vital. It's important wherever you come from. We are all global citizens. Whichever be the circumstances you belong to, doesn't matter. Everything you can make it interesting. Everything in life is an opportunity. With the age passed by, 60 years before, I thought I know everything. Today, I think I know. I keep discovering my ignorance. So life is full of recognizing your ignorance. Start with what is necessary, then what is possible. Then you will see you will do the impossible. And that's within you. That's within you. In the words of Abdul Kalam, again, a former president of India, when there is righteousness in your heart, there is beauty in your character. When there is beauty in your character, there is harmony in your home. When there is harmony in your home, there is order in the nation. When there is order in the nation, there is peace in the world. So what you need is the true reflection of loving people, irrespective of caste, creed, religion, race, wherever you come from, rich or poor countries, whatever be the circumstances, you keep loving everything in the world. Every life, according to Vivekananda, is the reflection of God. And you are the external evidence to recognize that you are the true God. So you draw inspiration out of all these leaders when you grow. And that's what exactly you should nurture in your mind. It's all garbage in, garbage out. Good in, good out. Let's put it this way. Good in, good out. So sow your right kind of thoughts in you. That's the first lesson I've learned. So the second thing I recognize is, having hailed from a middle-class family, challenging circumstances, my parents were insisting on the best school, and I was determined to excel in studies. I was going from my village, which is 10 kilometers away from the downtown, and I had to go in a bus, and my father was earning $6 equivalent those days. And if he has to shell for one child, $2.5 for the bus and other facilities, what they will do for subsistence. That was the question. I saw the first few years my mother was selling her jewels. I couldn't take it. I cried inside. I went to my headmaster and I asked him for an admission in a free hostel. He said, I'll give you because you're the best student, but not now. You are studying in your 8th standard. If you do well in the final exams and you stand first in the school, I will give you free hostel where you will get your books, where you will get your dress, and also, you will be fully supported for the next 4 years. I accepted it because anyway I was scoring very well. The last day of the exam was mathematics, which is my favorite subject. And every day I used to go from my home, taking the bus at 9 o'clock, 9:30. I used to reach the downtown at 10 o'clock. I'm in the school. The exam day, the last day, fateful day. The bus didn't turn up. All the exams I did well. The last day I couldn't write the exam. Rather, I felt I may not be in a position to write the exam. 9:20, 9:30, I was shivering. How will I destroy my father's and parents' image? So I went back to my home, rushed to my home and took my father's bicycle. I was driving, pedaling for 2 kilometers. Cycle got punctured. It was tested of God. And within the examination, I had another examination. So I put the vehicle and taken the shoulder bag with full of books. Those days, we didn't have computers. So the heavy bag I was carrying, and I was running for 8 kilometers. And I reached the school. I was sweat, completely out of order. And I was crying in front of the invigilator. Sir, permit me, I didn't have a watch. He looked at the watch and he said, why are you crying? You have still 5 minutes. It's only 10:25. You can write the exams. Wow, what an opportunity. I didn't know how I accomplished this 8 kilometers in 25 minutes. So 25 to 30 minutes I was there. By the time I left, the 2 kilometers after it's a very, very tiny village. From there to run, what a drive and determination. I just want to make sure the parents who have given me the best of love, I want to reciprocate. That was the thought. That was the drive for me. So drive and determination is important for you to become successful. I sat in the exams, 10:30, 11:30, I gave the answer paper. The examiner, the invigilator, looked at the paper and he was crying. He hugged me and he took me to the headmaster. I said, he has done it in 1 hour. That was the fire in me, the determination in me. That's what I want to tell you, share with you. That's if you have the drive and determination, if you have setting goals. I set the goal. I wanted to be useful to this planet. My father has taught me the right kind of conviction, principle-centered values. I want to reciprocate my sentiments. And I wanted to make sure I deliver the best. So I integrated my heart and mind. The result was automatic. I came first in the school. I got the admission. I never looked back. I was even supporting the families. I used to work in a shop, earning money without compromising my education. I used to send this money to my parents for them to, use for the household requirements. I never looked back. I was a national merit scholar then. Then I got my gold medal. The skill development also came handy when I was young. I used to, be in All India Radio, television. As a young boy, very energetic. Just for subsistence, I have to learn the skills. And that's helped me to articulate solutions they have introduced me as an economic commentator in Bloomberg or BBC or CNBC. It's a core skill I developed. When you are young and energetic, as much learning as possible, do it. Life is full of continuing education, professional education. We keep doing it. I've got 2 more research going on as I speak to you now. It's a journey. Lifelong learning is what you should do it. That's inspiration. That's exciting. You shed your ignorance, as I said earlier. So what matters is to recognize is so meaningful if you start enlightening yourself. So what is required is to have continuous education, professional education. Skill development came handy. And how I became a banker is also another interesting story, which was, in fact, I sent a video clip to Dr. Ash, and if you have time, please have a look at it. Those who can find time, 26 minutes or 34 minutes, including the shorts song, mini song they have compiled as a beginning. Have a look at it. It will give you the character depiction. I have not done anything. Somebody has seen it. My speech in Washington, it was made into a book in Malayalam in Kerala, and the chief minister released it for the school, and it was made into a film. So I just sent the clip yesterday. So when I was getting my National Merit Scholarship, coming back to the story, around 400 rupees, a friend of mine was insisting that he needs some money for his mother's treatment. I gave it, and he never gave me back. The college principal said, I'll terminate you from the college. You have not paid your fees. So I went to his father, the guy whom I gave. His father was very kind, and he said, what basis you have given? I looked at his capacity. His mother is inside. He ran away to Madras. That's a different city, 200 kilometers away. He has cheated you. Character, capacity, and capital. That's a lesson I learned. And he supported me for my continuing my education at the time. So what I'm trying to articulate is lessons learned is important. Success does not mean absence of failure. You have to understand. As long as you have ability to adapt yourself with the change in phase of your circumstances, that's the biggest trait human beings have got. Look at the pandemic. We have issues in terms of human tragedy, right? The governance has responded around the world. Economic tragedy. The monetary policy and fiscal policy coming together around the world. They're pumping additional liquidity, improving debt service capacity. Liquidity doesn't result into solvency issues. So we have tragedy. People are adapting. Every changing business model, we are adopting ourselves. With now, digital conversion is taking place. Every single core business, whether you're a banker like me, every part of the banking spectrum is getting redefined with the transformation which is taking place around the world. So whether it is economics or banking, whether it's human development, or for that matter, economic implications in multiple form and substance, the governance is important. Ability to adapt yourself with the changing dynamics. And that's the biggest trait you have. As human beings we have. That's what is required. And that's what the message I want to give you in essence. What is required is to recognize that we should have confidence in ourselves and we should be ethical and moral. In the words of Mahatma Gandhi, the father of the nation in India, wealth without work, pleasure without consciousness, commerce without morality, science without humanity, politics without principles, religion without sacrifice has got no meaning. That's a sin. If you don't do the sins, as long as you recognize that you have to answer yourself and you have a committed long-term vision for yourself, nothing is to be conceived with a short-term focus. Greed, pressure will drive you unethical attitudes. But if you have a considered focus on long-term and everything, you as a person or as a businessman, life is so interesting. If you aim at short-term, you cultivate flowers. If you aim at medium-term, you cultivate trees. If you aim at long-term, eternity, you build humanity. That's why today we are celebrating the legacy of Dr. Pachauri. And he's cultivated that long-term vision around the world. And that's precisely made me inspire in my own bank. See, the skill development which I've had in the All India Radio, television, and drama theatre helped me to showcase around the world global warming and climate change. I was buying an alligator and python in London, Regent Street, Hamlet Toys, and I was doing a technical presentation right from Japan, Tokyo, Nagoya, Seoul, around 22 countries. I have my own operation, Doha Bank operations. It started in 2004, 2007. I finished in United Nations, and then finally in International Monetary Fund meeting in 2007, September. I showcased the importance of global warming and climate change. This is not an ordinary issue. We are purposeful in our outcome. We cannot just help ourselves. You cannot help yourself unless you help others. You cannot aim at prosperity without bringing prosperity to others. You cannot enrich yourself without enriching others. Making others happy is a joy, and that's what human endeavors is all about. Making sure others are happy. See the reflection on you. You don't need to hunt for anything. It will come to you. You don't look at what you need. You look at others' welfare. And that's the commitment to society. Elimination of extreme poverty. Extreme poverty will not come unless you understand food security and global warming and climate change is interconnected. That's the lesson. Right. Today, you have United Nations Sustainable Development Goal. What was once prescribed as the Millennium Development Goal was redefined as Sustainable Development Goals. That's where the eradication of extreme poverty comes in. And these are interconnected with the other three components which I mentioned. And that's the most important part, is protecting this planet. And that's where global warming, climate change comes in. Rising sea level, increasing temperature, animal extinction. Look at it. Extraordinary set of changes and challenges are happening in the world. It's not confined to only the first goal. You have 17 goals. Read out as youngsters, 1.8 billion people, as Dr. Ash has mentioned. Get on with it. You should be purposeful to the society. And gender equality, very important. I saw the program today. You have embedded a wonderful combination of people, and the content is so prolific for you to enlighten with the purposeful journey. Gender equality is very important. Education for all. Again, healthcare for all. This pandemic has revealed extraordinary set of recognition. It's all healthcare. So there are positive sides of the pandemic. We need to understand. So long we have been oppressing this planet. We need to recognize this is a purposeful planet. Again, cosmic energy cannot be suppressed or oppressed. We need to add value positively and productively. That's why the changing face of the world. This transformation is a beautiful journey. This is going to enlighten for a long-term welfare, leave alone the short-term tragedy we are going through in many forms which I mentioned, whether it's human or economic or environmental or social. This can be mapped, managed, enterprise-wide, country-specific, and global governance can step in and help you to consolidate and move forward. What you have to do as individuals is more important. Recognizing life is all about controlled desire. Happiness is a controlled desire again. Corporate management is all about controlled desire. When youngsters think of freedom, it is not uncontrolled desire. Recognize that everything is an opportunity as long as you have a measurable, manageable, controllable desire. And that's so beautiful, isn't it? So when you have discipline, everything is possible. Otherwise, you regret later. So, and your work ethics becomes so meaningful if you have discipline, and duty becomes desire. It's a delight. So every day is inspirational if you understand your duty is delightful. You love it. You enjoy it. You don't do it for the sake of living. Because you want to do it, you're passionate about it, you're doing it. And that's what I do in my profession. So it's important that we understand these dynamics. And we understand the opportunity lies in recognizing that you haven't unlocked yourself. Persistence is very, very important. Universities are giving extraordinary set of lessons, academic lessons. What we require is life science, understanding the dimensions of this beautiful life, the physical body, the subtle body, the transition, which is ultimate. You are not a body, you are not a mind. That is just a form that can get transgressed in no time. So the biggest thing is to recognize the casual or the transition is so meaningful, and it depends on your deeds. You do good things, you will only get reflection of your own good deeds. That's a very difficult concept to understand, but have an internal drive, as I said. So it's so purposeful. So I think I have given you a bit of a bigger picture. Now, life is so interesting as long as you understand the principle-centered values which I mentioned is there beneath. What did I say? Let me sum it up so that I can invite your questions. As long as you integrate your heart and mind, everything is possible. You have to have a drive, you have to have a determination, you have to have a discipline. And you develop your skills and making sure you're useful to society. When you aim at social welfare, when you understand the planet yet, and you are a deterrent to the whole frame, better you start recognizing the opportunity. Better to wear out for this purpose than to rust out. It's important that you work on it, keep. Taxing your body gives you fitness. Taxing your mind gives you knowledge. That's ultimate, isn't it? I gave my own example only because what was my circumstance? And whatever out of generosity which they read it out as my introduction is just an accumulation out of my whole deeds. It's a continuous journey. I'm not important. What is important is principle-centered values are important for us to add value as a purposeful human beings and make sure we create a better world, as Dr. Pachori has mentioned, and is always in his talks, and build future generation. When he was here, he was addressing the Katha Foundation 2 years before the fateful day, and I had a long chat with him, and I asked him to address my bankers, fellow bankers, and he gave such an inspirational, motivational story about his personal life and his professional journey, and it was so engrossing, and still a mesmerizing, scintillating picture he gave about purpose behind the journey. And that's enlightened many. And I want all of you to carry this mission lifelong so that we are purposeful human beings and we protect this planet for generations to come. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your kind attention. I would love to respond to your questions.
Thank you so much, Dr. Seetharaman. I think no words can do justice to express how inspirational your journey is. And I think it's an honor for all the youth here today to be able to hear this story firsthand. Thank you for drawing emphasis on the importance of education, drive, and the need for being purposeful to the society. And I think we'll have so much to take away once we come out of this call today, and something that we'll remember for the rest of our life as we continue to do our bit for the planet. So once again, thank you so much for sharing that with us. And with that, I would like to welcome Dr. Ash to present the first question for today. Thank you, Dr. Ash.
Thank you. I also want to say that, I echo every word that you just said, Dr. Seetharaman, your personal narrative, your personal journey, your testimony, and the fact that you personify everything that you have just described and you so strongly stand for is something in itself, which is a situation where you lead by example and inspiration. And, you've overcome several things, but you overcome them with a zeal and a zest, and that is infectious. And I think the most precious part of this is that it's always been about being beyond yourself, and it's been about the larger. And you have done this, I think, in your personal life. You've exemplified this in your professional life, and you continue to share this, which is a very deliberate and conscious effort to continue that journey of inspiration, but also I think it's a personification, sir, of your own very voice, which says we've got to continue to feel inspired, energized, and self-educate, and that pursuit of knowledge is so important. And your words are part of that, part of that entire experience for young people to listen to, because I mean, as you speak, it is an enlightenment for all of us. So I just want to say also thank you very much for this honor, because I know my father had a lot of love and respect for you, and I had the good fortune of being able to learn from you directly, which is truly not only just an honor, but a great blessing. So thank you so much for this. And I just want to start by asking you, sir, if you could seek your reflections. I mean, you've overcome, and you've been determined and constantly driven with high ranges of energy, and then you've done so much good and continue to. So what would your message be to the young people who are listening, in terms of many who feel despondent, as you rightly said, it's a temporary in the longer trajectory situation of the pandemic and such. But what would your advice be to youth who are confronting challenges but need to be able to really embrace those values um, which you're a living, breathing example of to us? So how would you say they should really deal with this, and also very importantly, then move beyond themselves to the larger collective, the universe, and embracing, like Dad would always say, the universe is our family. So if we really care, the universe, we will serve the universe. So what is your advice, sir, to the many young people who I think right now, as they listen to you, would transforming literally as you utter words and speak? Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you, sir.
Instead of me advising, I learned from the new generation, to be honest. I've, my continuing education gives me opportunity to visit various universities, and I relish the sessions. But I also want to tell you, there are certain things which they can understand, they can make it more purposeful. You know, their awareness, their intelligence, their with the tools available in today's context, they are truly reflecting the global citizenship, as I mentioned, in an interconnected, interdependent world. They are always prescribed or portrayed as angry, anger. Anger is one thing which doesn't help. So while it's important that we need positivity, productivity, anger is a destroyer. It's drinking poison and ask others to die. And that's what his anger is all about. They should understand there's nothing as anger. It is nobody can make you angry or happy without your approval. You are the one who's making yourself upset. So there's no need for us to shell out your anger, reflect your agitation. So calm yourself. It's very important that is keeping a balanced temperament, be even. Because this is one thing which I have seen invariably. Your rights are more important. Let's understand our duties first. And let us radiate positive energy and send positive chemicals within your body. Because the minute you start getting unduly upset, or anger destroys your inner energy. So my simple suggestion is, while you have all the traits, you are going to be better than the previous generation. As youngsters, my suggestion is you have to necessarily manage your anger. That's one big picture I'm telling. Okay. Second, the worry, you said despondent. I have seen youngsters wants to have accomplishments in fast track. instant gratification. There's nothing as that. That's why I said aim at long term. Don't aim at anything short term. Short term is greed. You as a person, if you want to have a short term solution, you have temporary chemicals that you intoxicate or stuff yourself. It doesn't help. It is only temporary. You have to understand this. The more you compose, that's why I use the expression internal drive in my beginning. So it is important that you integrate your heart and mind and think. Worrying doesn't help. Anger is the first one. Second one is worry. Worry is, if you can worry and get things done, please do. It's got no substance. Carefully understand this. You have inherited good or bad. That's lifelong. And your circumstances, you can change. You can change your fortune. You decide your destiny, nobody else. Destiny is not a matter of chance. It's a choice. You can decide your destiny. So don't worry about destiny. Don't upset about anything. And the third thing, don't compare yourself with anyone. You are unique. You are unique. There's no comparison for any human being. If you say 6.8 billion people in this planet, and 1.8 is the younger generation, you are unique. Don't compare yourself. You have the only target you have to do is you have to excel your previous self. I think these three wisdom, which I learned out of my own experience. So one is anger, another one is worry, third one is, sitting. There's no point in being jealous. If I use the expression, it's a tiger. It will tear you apart. So you don't need to compare yourself with anyone. You are unique, and your value creation is unique. And you find your strength and weakness, and then you build your progress based on your strength and minimize your weakness. Every person on this planet, every institution or individual has got limitations. Every country, we have seen the reflection now. Everyone is torn apart in this crisis. That's the lesson we learned out of this COVID-19. Irrespective of the, developed countries or developing countries, rich or poor, black or white, doesn't matter. Race doesn't come in the picture. So everyone is impaired if you are not disciplined. That's what the lesson we learned out of COVID-19. So these three things are vital, and I think that will take you a long way if you understand these three dynamics, how to map it and manage through self-control.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. You have such a deep and spiritual take on everything that you are and everything that you share. And I think that is such a powerful thing in itself, sir. And, the drive, the determination, and, the pursuit as you really do exemplify, I think is critical. And you've shared some very important points, which is that we must move beyond ourselves and the need to constantly achieve things in an instantaneous way, which is always sort of immediate term, but is not going to get us anywhere in the long term. So really that pursuit is critical, as is the drive and the determination. And I think that your experience is a real living testimony to that. So thank you so much. And I do agree with you that the COVID situation has definitely taught us, if anything has, that we are so interconnected. So, anything that happens in one part of the world will affect others. And I think that is an important lesson also for, as you articulated, for young people to take away and understand that there is much more than.
Look at now, G7 as we speak. G7 meeting, finance ministers have resolved yesterday, and they're going to talk about again environment sustainability. We know it's going to impact the productivity around the world. Now, the G7 has concluded they will take 2% of the GDP, nearly $1 trillion. They will put together and build this fund forward. Of course, the bigger president and the prime ministers have to endorse it. The issue remains. We have seen the reflection even in the last 2 years. Australian bush fire, and Central America, you had issues. East Africa, you had issues. Nepal, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, we had issues. Seawater, rising sea levels. All these things need to be fixed. So, irrespective of the country, Australia had an issue. So every country is going through extraordinary set of challenges, and we have to care for humanity more than confining our thoughts to ourselves. So if you look at the big picture, everything will be clear to you.
Thank you so much, sir. That's profound and very, very meaningful. And I hope that all the young people who are here and who are listening and will listen, that this is something we can all take away, because if we adopt this vision and view, we will make this world a better place. We will protect our planet, and I know we'll secure a happy and safe and sustainable future for all. So thank you so much, sir, for that, for those words of wisdom, but most importantly, your own living example of each one of these values so closely embraced by you. Thank you. And with that, I'm going to ask Priyanka, please, to take on the next area. I know we'll have the good fortune of listening to sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Ash. I'm just going to keep time in mind, Dr. Seetharaman. I have one question that I have been wanting to ask you, which is, you have been conferred with some of the most prestigious awards when it comes to green economy and green banking and sustainability. And as youth, it's important that we start understanding these concepts as we continue to do our work. So what we wanted to understand from you is, how important is the adoption of green economy and green banking in the road to building a sustainable future? That would be the first part. And the second part would be that even today we have so many stakeholders like businesses, leaders, who are putting profit in front of planet. And it seems like they are still either unwilling to accept the climate crisis at hand or are being ignorant about it. So how do we get leaders, businesses, different stakeholders on board to adopt green economy and take sustainability more seriously? That would be my two-part question.
See, the first is the crisis itself is a reflection we are seeing. Pre-COVID, you have seen 27% of the carbon emission came from China, 15% from US, 10% from Europe, 7% from India, for example. Now, unless you build green economies, green transportation or green building, name it, everything, individual or institutions, unless you come to terms, unless you build green economies, sustainable future is not there for the future generation. Let's understand this. That's what the lesson. If you look at what the crisis has taught us is to recognize we need global cooperations. It defied all the logics, richer, poor, as I mentioned earlier. So that's what I was thinking when I come from a village, as I mentioned. It's a lush green from Tanjore district of Tamil Nadu in Chennai, India. When I saw lush green and when I came to the Gulf, the first time I said, why not we plant trees in the deserts? So the carbon emission is a major issue. So per capita carbon emissions. I went to the rulers at the time and I said, listen, equivalent of the carbon emission, because these are 45% of the world oil, 25% of the world gas comes from this region. And if you offset this carbon emission, by creating alternates and reinvest in multiple forms, investments and lending from a banking perspective, there's a bigger opportunity for us to be carbon neutral in global terms. So that's what exactly the concept is all about. Building green economies is a must, and creating public-private partnership is a must. And how I will practice, that's where the recognition in terms of thesis came from Sri University, which I presented to United Nations as well when Mr. Ban Ki-moon was there. And he appreciated and he recommended actually to a few universities. Now, the concept is simple. We as bankers, we produce at least twice of the GDP as lending. Okay, if the global productivity is around, say, 60 trillion, so twice of this is the commercial lending will come, or total lending will come. So similarly, investments apart, the bankers take the public money, more than the shareholders' money, 8 to 10 times you take deposits and then deploy it in investments or lending. And when you deploy it, you have to understand if you, based on the carbon emission, each country, you have a clean development mechanism. You have United Nations framework for climate change conventions, and you have a clear framework, UN Compact, which we are signatory to it. So what I'm trying to say is the compliance architecture should reflect how much carbon emission each and every country is doing in global terms. To the extent the banking system should spend on sustainable projects, whether water management, waste management. That's what precisely I did, and not only I've been doing it on the wholesale level. For water security, I gave $500 million. It was so handy 3 years before when the government went into food security. Similarly, supporting the green mortgage and individuals, signing up with UNESCO for eco school programs, creating a clear website for youngsters to understand the impact of the global warming and climate change, how we can contribute as youngsters. So all these things are integral part of it. I'm saying, depending upon, say for example, if you emit 10% of the carbon in global terms, then 10% of your risk-weighted capital in every financial institutions within the country has to be allocated for. It's not a charity. It's a good commercial model. This is not for just you're throwing the money. It's not. Then that's what exactly I was trying to articulate. It's a good business model where you spend. I can finance for hydrocarbon sitting in the Gulf. I can also finance for water security. So it's a combination. The policy framework has to come. In a portion of the risk-weighted capital based on your carbon emission, each country has to comply in the architecture. They will invest or lend for this purpose. That was the first part, which was recognized, and it's a detailed compendium. And I issued green credit card. I was, as I said, at retail level or wholesale level, investment or lending. Green fund can be created. Now it's coming up. Net zero carbon emission is a signature. Everyone is coming to terms. So a green fund, if you even issue funds, public funds, and then invest in projects which are going to be sustainable, then it's a good return again. There are banks who have done it, and carbon exchange, carbon trading is another, factoring environment into trade into carbon into the trade is another option which we can do. That's the first question. The second question, what do you want exactly, Priyanka?
So I was asking that there are many stakeholders, like leaders and businesses, that do not give the front seat to planet. They give more attention to profit. So how can we have them come on board?
Corporate social responsibility is an integral part of it. See, when you run a public financial institution, even if it is a private bank, you call it as private bank, it can never be public, it can never be local. Banking is always global. From financial service point of view, I'm telling you. Now you have, who are the stakeholders? You have shareholders. They're not the only one. Social risk management is important, right? You're public, and you have to answer to the public. I said this, more than my shareholders' money, I take public deposits. So who is at stake? When banks goes into trouble, we have seen the government comes in to step in, even private banks, right? I don't want to be specific on names. Now, social risk management. Society is at large at stake when any system, not necessarily financial services, any industry, right? And it is tough. Human endeavors. It's important that what sort of environment you create for human capital. So it is equally important. Consumer protection is important. So if you don't understand this, if you're only looks fair in your pursuit of the profession or business, then it will short circuit you long term. So that is why now CSR has become a major issue. Now everyone is ESG reporting. Now they are doing with this COVID. Now financial reporting are all now. Qatar Exchange, for example, they have prescribed it. I have been doing it since 2010, and set standards. Equator principles, many of risk management principles are being followed in many institutions. So it's important we recognize that social responsibility comes in tandem. So all the stakeholders, if you want to have a balanced growth, then you have to look at social risk management. So corporate social responsibility is an integral part of the business objectives. I'm sure in the coming days, regulators are going to ask for reporting. In fact, as we speak, G7 is insisting on such financial reporting. irrespective of the industry. So that will become a habit now, and people have to say, this is what socially I'm committed. It's not just shareholders take the maximum and drive the system. And everyone is a debtor to the society. What we brought with, nothing. We use this planet and then leave it in a miserable state and go. What our children and grandchildren are going to do? That thought has to come for everyone.
Thank you so much, Dr. Seetharaman. I think that was an insight that no Google search or textbook could have given us. Thank you so much for taking that time out and for answering that question in such detail. And keeping time in mind, I would like to...
My secretary is always flexible. So I want to give an opportunity to others who wants to ask questions.
Sure.
Absolutely. So if Heer, Ayushman, if you all have any question that you would like to direct towards Dr. Seetharaman, we can open the floor.
Please.
Kamal, you have any questions?
Komal Drishya as well.
I think I had the same question that Priyanka ma'am asked, which was how do we get companies on board which more than environment focus on the profit? So yeah, that is well answered. Thank you, sir.
Now it's going to be a public-private partnership. See, environment sustainability is not a government responsibility alone. So that is what now PPP laws are coming around the world.
Yeah.
And that's what my research also, I have said it. It has to evolve. And there's an accountability at every individual. So you will get when you have carbon neutral society we have to create, then you have to take policy changes which is prescribed at an individual level as well as institutional level. Trade or investment banking or finance, we will have this policy changes which are evolving to be a fine combination. G7 has talked about it. We have continuing commitments. Mexico has hosted 10 years before the conference of the parties. Subsequently, Paris Climate was a good one. We hosted here Doha Climate Gateway. We announced it in 2012. So now, again, this year, when in Birmingham it's going to happen, conference of the parties, I'm sure everyone is going to form this concept of public-private partnership so that corporates should come to terms. It's not only profitability, it is social responsibility.
Thank you so much, Dr. Seetharaman. If anybody else has any question, otherwise we can move towards wrapping.
Ayushman has not asked any question.
Ayushman, do you have a question you would like to present?
Yeah, Ayushman has a question, and I think Komal has a question just before that, if we could, and then we'll just ask Ayushman right after. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Seetharaman. Your story was truly inspirational to all of us. And with the session, there's so many things we will take with us and we'll try to implement.
I could hear you. Your voice is cutting up. Komal,
can you hear me?
Yeah, better.
Yeah. So I have a question. You today, they are believed to be the torchbearers of the movement to build a sustainable future. What advice would you give to aspiring youth who aim to bring a positive, sustainable change?
See, your future belongs to you. You have to create a better world. So you're only doing a favor to yourself by engaging in the sustainable development goals. Understand these goals and create a collaborative mode. It's all about building these collaborations. You are not alone in this game. So everyone is into it. And build this partnership. And that's the message I'm giving. See, if you have to enrich your lifestyle and be healthy, be purposeful in your submission for yourself, and down the line, tomorrow, you will have your descendants. You have to have the value stream in mind. So those values you define now, commit yourself for society, everything becomes more meaningful to you. Everything will be responded to you. If you aim for others' happiness, as I said, if you enrich the society, you will enrich yourself. You are inclusive. Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Seetharaman.
Yeah.
Sorry, Komal. Okay. I think he had one question, if that's okay, if you have a minute in hand. She wanted to ask one question.
Ayushman did too. Thank you.
Yes.
So several nations even today are plagued with the problems such as violence, poverty, lack of resources and opportunities that outweigh the need to focus on environment and sustainability. In addition to this, we have double the challenges. How can nations such as these benefit from a green economy, and how can we adapt to the new normal while also building back to the more greener and sustainable?
It's a very big question it is. See, you have to have sustainable world. It means income inequality should be reduced. So rich or developed or developing world. Now they have evolved. G7 has become G7, G8, G8 become G20. Now today they are talking about corporate tax minimum. So now we are in an interconnected world, as I said, and we are global citizens. You will find what's happening in one part of the world resonates in the rest of the world. So we have to make sure policy framework will be much more global in the coming days. Nobody is location centric; they are information centric. It doesn't matter, when the wedge is becoming flat, and you don't need to operate. If you have to sit in Silicon Valley, you don't need to go to Palo Alto. Here you can sit in India, still you can create a Silicon Valley. Again, another example could be if you buy a cup of coffee in Starbucks in New York or Mumbai, the price is not different. You know it; it's getting ironed out. Similarly, everything is in the course of time. This crisis is going to open up such opportunities. So we are reducing. We have to reduce the income inequality. We have to reduce the gap between the countries. We have to aim at humanity. That is the purpose of this crisis, I suppose. We have to interpret the positive sides of this pandemic, and this is going to create a better world for long-term value. Please be confident. It's God sent. While I said it, with all these tragedies, people have to rationalize their thoughts now to become more inclusive, and more internal drive is important. Unless you are a good person, you cannot create a good society. Unless you create good society, you cannot create a good nation. Unless you create good nation, you cannot create good United Nations. So the gap has to come down. People power becomes more meaningful. No more you can play on communication gap, whether it's corporate or country's management. People power is ultimate. Empowered. They are empowered more than anything else. So this so-called the income inequality will have a serious consequence if the policymakers are not bringing that parity and making sure they create an even world. So it will happen. You cannot live on oppression and suppression anymore. Individual rights are to be protected. Human rights are playing a big role. So we live in a very interesting, defining moment in the world, and you will find in your own lifetime, Ayushman, you will have better quality life, and you will find more equal world. That's my prediction. Our future generation is going to be well off than the present.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, Dr. Seetharaman. He had one question if we have time. If not, we can hold it back. She had one question she wanted to ask.
Okay, last.
Yes, last question for sure, please.
So the question is that how can people know which banks are investing their money in green initiatives instead of investing in areas such as fossil fuel industries? And also, how can they recognize the importance of choosing banks that particularly give importance to the environment and the green economy?
See, now the financial reporting becomes more meaningful. Now there is a new set of regulations have come globally. ESG reporting. If you're a listed enterprise, now you have to disclose the social governance. So if you're investing, for example, financial institutions like us or any other financial institutions, you should disclose how much you are lending or investing for sustainable projects. That's what exactly I mentioned. Now, global financial reporting is changing now for social commitments. That's a very good sign. Because if corporates coming to terms and recognize this their social responsibility, whether it's the financial institutions or any manufacturing industry, then we will find a better place to live. So they will create carbon neutral process. They will invest offset. Carbon trading will take place. And that is what is important. Advanced industrial equipments, no, not only you have carbon emission, you also have to offset. So those who are manufacturing will engage in a different set of offset. Financial services will lend for more investments or lending towards this process, and they have to disclose openly. And there will be regulatory framework. For example, now we have a capital rules, loan to deposit rules as financial institutions. Similarly, if I said in my research 15 years before, I mentioned that at least whatever the carbon emission, the financial institutions should allocate a portion of it for risk-weighted capital towards lending or investments. If every industry norms are getting changed, you cannot just take the profit yourself and share, give the dividend. You have to put money back into the system, society. If we bring that regulation policy change, then the world will become a better place. Commercial enterprise will focus more on social responsibility.
Thank you so much, Dr. Seetharaman, for answering that in detail. And thank you so much for staying over time. We are so happy that you could stay back and answer the questions that we had. And once again, thank you so much for inspiring us and for sharing your journey with us. Really, if we had the time, we would have hours and hours of conversation with you, yes. but we feel really honored to have this 1 hour conversation with you. And with that, I would like to ask Dr. Ash to place the closing remarks. Thank you so much once again, Dr. Seetharaman.
Thank you, Dr. Seetharaman. This has been filled with high energy, like you said, is essential, but also with so much wisdom and enlightenment. And I'd like to say, we've taken away so many things from the drive to the commitment to the determination, and very importantly, seeing opportunity and adversity. Where there's adversity, there is opportunity. You have talked about your personal testimony to that and how you entered the banking sphere and how it changed, transformed your life and so many more lives. But very importantly, also, you've talked to us about the importance of unlocking potential personally and being able to reach out beyond ourselves to the larger universe. And I just like to say, sir, that we are so blessed and honored to have you as a precious part of the POP family. And really, like I said, Dad would always quote that the universe is our family. And so within the realm of the POP movement, we are a POP family, and the world and the universe is our family, of which you are at the center. So I just want to say thank you so much. It's been, we will be savoring this conversation for many generations to come, I can assure you. So I just want to say thank you from the bottom of our hearts. Thank you for everything that you've shared, for being here, and for most importantly, being a part of our family, for which we are so, so grateful. And as we close, sir, I'd like to say that this conversation as a tribute to Dr. Pachauri means more than anything else to me personally, but certainly to all of us. And as we close, I'd like to invite you, sir, if there's any last few words you'd like to say before we conclude the conversation, so we can take away any last remarks you might have for us. And with that, much gratitude from my heart to yours, sir.
Life is interesting. Enjoy it. Every day is inspirational. Every day is interesting, exciting. We are proud to be part of this planet, and we have to create a better world than what we have. And we are all committed, and we will make others happy. We have to enrich society first, so we get enriched. We create prosperity to others, so that we are an integral part of the inclusiveness. Life is so beautiful. Enjoy it. Enjoy. Every day is inspirational for you to create better world and better citizenship. Thank you, and thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, sir. Thank you ever so much.
Thank you so much.
We're so grateful. Thank you.
Thank you. Kumar, could we stop streaming?